The Brandon Peters Show may contain explicit language and detailed plot points. For more information on the show, stay tuned to the end of the episode. And now, here's Brandon.
And we are about to close the week and 1 year of the show with a song. And joining me again from Forbes, Scott Mendelson.
Behold, I have come to you now at the turn of the tide.
Quote unquote, okay. Sean Connery, Lord of the Rings.
Alternate
universe. With Stuart Townsend we were talking about earlier. So
indeed.
So all right. Today we are taking a look at the Billy Joel video for Pressure, which comes from his 8th studio album, The Nylon Curtain, which also features the singles Allentown, Goodnight Saigon, as well as the song Scandinavian Skies, which charted despite not being a single. This album dropped almost 39 years ago to the day, dropping September 23rd, 1982. And this song, Billy Joel utilized a synthesizer on it. The song is about the pressure of songwriting and coming up with new material. It came from when Joel was about halfway through this album, Nylon Curtain. He'd run out of ideas, and a woman who was his secretary at the time came into the house at one point and said, "Wow, you look like you're under a lot of pressure. I bet that'd be a good idea for a song." And he said, "Thank you." So,
and that's exactly how it'll play out in the biopic.
In the biopic, yes. And then, yeah.
Hey, hear the sad story about Allentown? I hear they're closing all the factories down.
What? There's a single edit for this that removes the third verse and the second bridge of the song, but this music video version is the full version of the song. So what do you think of the song, Scott? Let's go with you. Big Billy Joel fan, or?
I'm a lifelong Billy Joel fan, even if I admit that most of the songs of his that I like are from the 3-volume greatest hits CDs that he put out here and there over the years. You know, if you grab a random Billy Joel album, I might only recognize half the songs.
Gotcha.
Which, that's a blind spot on my end. But the songs that are contained on the greatest hits volumes 1, 2, and 3, yeah, I've been a big fan of those for as long as I can remember. And this is one of those songs. I mean, the song is pretty self-explanatory in terms of its themes. It was, as you noted, it was written in terms of the quote-unquote pressure that Joel felt in being a content creator and a provider as a husband and father.
They did not call him a content creator back in 1982.
No, we did not.
We need to clarify that. He was an artist.
Well, I guess that's true. As for the video, I mean, it's visually quote-unquote extreme in a way that a lot of videos from the 80s are. Mm-hmm. It was directed by Russell McClary.
Mulcahy.
Thank you. Yes.
There can be only one of him.
Yes, director of such films as Resident Evil Part 3, The Shadow, and of course the first 2 Highlander pictures.
He also did that Kim Basinger movie, Real McCoy, I noticed.
Oh, yeah.
And recently, 40 episodes of MTV's Teen Wolf.
He did what?
40 episodes of MTV's Teen Wolf.
I did not know that. Does that mean I should be watching Teen Wolf?
I don't know. But he comes from a music video background. So this being he worked with Joel a lot. He worked with, funny enough, Elton John. He worked with a lot. Duran Duran, Kim Carnes, Fleetwood Mac, Queen, Paul McCartney. Just load. It wasn't like he worked with a ton of artists, but he did a ton of stuff for the artists he did work with.
He certainly had a type.
Yeah, the only Paul McCartney one he did was Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time. Just had
fair enough.
The video he did.
This video is, it has very, I would say, generic pop culture references. Clockwork Orange. It certainly opens with a certain 1970s paranoia sensibility.
Parallax view. Like a lot of people think, like the thing he's sitting at the beginning, and watching, that's parallax view. Though I could see someone saying Clockwork Orange, but it's super straight out of parallax view. It is visually copying the parallax view.
The part where Warren Beatty gets shot at the end.
Yeah.
I didn't spoil that 40-year-old movie.
It's a great movie anyway. Watch it.
It's very good.
Very good.
You can see the movie that the Russos pretend inspired the Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, no, it's a forgotten middle piece of the Clute and All the President's Men. It's a trilogy, a thematic trilogy from back then about political corruption and stuff like that, stuff behind the closed doors. And that one's the forgotten one. And Criterion put it out, and I'm like, why don't we talk about this one a lot more?
What's slightly ironic is that even by the standards of the 1970s, it's cynical as hell.
Yeah.
It's deeply pessimistic. It's deeply, I would argue, whether without getting into better or worse, I would argue in its own way, it's the definitive 1970s everyone's out to get you movie.
No, absolutely, yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to give away spoilers for a movie that's tangentially related to a music video that we're talking about, but there is imagery in that film, especially toward the end, that is just the genre in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm. There's some Marathon Man in here too. I noticed. There's
that's probably one of my favorite thrillers of the 70s. I would consider that slightly more conventional espionage action, but whatever. Tomato.
Well, there's some visual stuff where he was running through that bridge, and just the kind of area he was at was like, I was like, this kind of looks like Marathon Man. But
I do wonder, when because obviously I watched this video when I was a kid and I hadn't seen any of these movies yet. Were audiences supposed to get the references to the 1970s, 1980s cinema?
I think they might have been. I don't like. I mean, they're recent, so I mean, 82. Yeah. And back when you're growing up in the 80s, all they're talking about is the 70s movie. It's not like now where it's all focused on what movies are coming out. It used to be focused on respecting the classics. And the new movies had a tough time being heralded so high. Now we hold up new movies really high right away. And back in the day, a stinker might be a class. Like nobody was talking about how great Blade Runner was in 82, The Thing in 82, but now they are put them in the Hall of Fame, bona fide classics. But back right when this video came out, when those came out, you wouldn't have thought that. Critics trashed it, so people didn't go see it, and they just figured, well, people didn't like it, didn't make money, and the critics didn't like it. But these were movies that were, Parallax View was an Oscar contender. It was a hit film, had big star Warren Beatty. At the time, it would have probably been closer on the minds of people. Now we watch it and be like, no kid's gonna recognize that. Clockwork Orange is iconic. People. Kubrick was a name, so you knew his stuff. Like he was an event.
I mean, even in that film, if only because of its iconography and its pardon the expression, marquee character in terms of Malcolm McDowell's protagonist, that film has survived the last 50 years, and it's. I mean, you could reference it in Space Jam, and people actually know what you're talking about.
Ken Russell's The Doubles was referenced in Space Jam. But the Kubrickian stuff is more so there's a lot of white rooms and the upholstery and stuff in there really was very reminiscent of Kubrick. The scene where he sinks into the rug and the lady floats into the wall, just the set looks like something out of Clockwork Orange or the finale of 2001: A Space Odyssey or something Barry Lyndon-esque. That's where I was getting with that.
And, to my recollection, and I could be mistaken, I'm going off memory here, I don't recall that many Billy Joel videos being that visually dynamic in that way.
No.
Piano Man he's a piano man, and the cast of characters at the bar, it's our town basically.
Uptown Girls, just a bunch of mechanics doo-wopping.
It's for the longest time is it uses a high school reunion to have a very literal telling of its song.
Right. We Didn't Start the Fire has a lot going on. That one literally lends itself lyrically to an easy adaptation.
It's historical montage with the family living their life in the kitchen, which if you're a small suburban family of that time, that's where life happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This one, it's got and for 1982, this MTV's not that old. This feels like a big swing, a huge artistically. He's probably hungry. The director, just getting into the medium, is probably trying to do something to make their mark. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the 80s, and this one's just pretty big, ambitious, going for it for that little 4.5 minutes, proving you could do a heck of a lot. I don't know what this costs, but it looks really expensive. Like, these sets can't be cheap.
Well, Macaulay actually, and I didn't realize this, he directed the video for Video Killed the Radio Star.
Oh, wow. So he was the pioneer.
So he was, he also directed the Turning Japanese video.
Oh, okay.
Okay. That's a song that nobody sings in karaoke anymore for obvious reasons.
There's some profound stuff here too. That there's the kid walking through the hallway toward, all the doors are locked. It's a white hallway. At the end, there's a TV monitor, and as he walks there, quickly, there's one quick shot where he changes into an old man in a wheelchair to get into it, like he's forever changing.
Sex on the streets, and all of a sudden he's old in a wheelchair, whatever that means.
Yeah, and then the one that I thought reflective, oddly prophetic, and I don't think by design, he's in a classroom. And when he goes to the front where there's a little monitor, TV monitor where the teacher is to talk, and is trying to say something we're there now. It's kind of reversed. It's reversed, but we hit that.
And I believe there's a shot of a child taking a psychiatric medication, which wasn't as burning of an issue as it would come to be in the late, mid to late 1990s.
Right.
And again, some of this is just, visual imagery for the sake of visual imagery for a deeply symbolic telling of a pretty cut and dry song.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the music video genre in a nutshell. But yeah, as far as Billy Joel songs go, it's certainly one of his more visually dazzling videos.
Right. I always like this song because it has the synthesizer in it. It's like something from the best horror movie that it doesn't go to. Like that.
Well, allegedly, if you play the song in a major key, it sounds like polka.
Yeah.
But
no, it's this is a lot of visual stuff. There's a game show sequence in here. There's just a lot going on. These weird steps leading to an old man in some sort of sci-fi doctor chair, and the word applause comes on. It's trying to say something about television rotting your brain, or technology, and brainwashing you, or telling you how to be. There's somewhere in here. It's pretty abstract and ambiguous, but I feel like that's the message they're trying to deal here. Whereas the Parallax View is about programming an assassin.
Yes.
Pretty much. But this is about programming society. I don't get what all the water's about in it, but
and Macaulay directed the We Didn't Start the Fire video as well.
Oh yeah, because like I say, he works with Joel many times. He works with Elton John a lot. The Duran Duran.
Sorry, I'm looking at a list of his videos, and it's he's Total Eclipse of the Heart, which is one of the more visually goofy videos of that era. Yeah. And then there's Allentown, which is a far more cut and dry music video where they're in costume, in the location in question or set, and they're just singing the song. And his last video was Original Sin for his own movie The Shadow.
Yeah.
Which is a classically cheesy 80s song, or 80s movie theme song. It's just sung by Taylor Dane in the mid 90s.
True.
You've heard that song, right?
Yeah.
It's a bop, as the kids say.
I was a fan of The Shadow back then. I have a soft spot for that 90s superhero era easily. But
when we thought that was as good as we were ever going to get.
Yeah, like that's true. That's true. But now we have the David Ayer Suicide Squad, and it never got any.
No comment. All I'll say is this: I feel bad for
Some
him
might call
because
it a movie.
I do feel bad for him because his film got torn to shreds because of some other guy's movie was a disaster.
Yeah.
At least with the Snyder thing, Snyder's Justice League was compromised because of Snyder's Batman v Superman.
True. Oh, well. They're getting on fine. They're getting on fine.
I thought the tax collector was okay.
True. Okay. Well, hey, that'll wrap us here on Billy Joel. And for the week, for a year of the Brandon Peters Show, it's been crazy. Lots happened. It's a lot different place than when Scott was here the last time.
Everything's terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible now. It was good. And then we just went from the start.
So it was good. Your show started, and now everything's terrible. Wait a minute.
You're bringing it back up. Hasn't been good. Started out really good. It had a little bit of a comeback with Tomb Raider Cradle of Life. Went
Fair
back
enough.
down. It was false though. Fake, and now it's back up.
All uphill from here.
Going out on a high for it. But yeah, so thank you, Scott.
You're very welcome.
It's been awesome. You were the first to do a music video of one of these. And I'll tell you what, that's been one of the most exciting and interesting things, because some people, we had to figure this out.
It's hard.
We're like, stats. Do you know this? And some people get it. Some people are really thrown off by the music videos. I had one person that was like, can I just follow your lead? Like, how do you do this? And she was great at it. Like, it was like, wait, I didn't think it'd be that hard to talk about a music video for 10 minutes. That's all you gotta do.
It's part of it.
I've had people go 40.
Wow.
Well, when you talk about Rage Against the Machine and an insurrection happens the week of,
oh God,
you got stuff to talk about when you have a political and
I would imagine
metal band on the song called Testify during election week or during inauguration week. So that one went for 40 minutes.
That was the thing, is like music videos. What the heck? It's okay, whatever.
Yeah.
This show.
Something I wanted to do. Something no one else is doing. So got that. And it's always good to end a week. Song, get in your head, talk about it, reminisce. People have really liked the music video stuff. They get a lot of comments and attention. So appreciate it. But Scott, before we head to the weekend, we'll let people know where they can get pissed at you on the internet or enjoy.
Oh, well, getting pissed at me on the internet, that's Twitter. So my Twitter feed is at Scott Mendelson, Twitter. If you want to actually read my work, which is usually more measured than my Twitter hot takes, Forbes, the ticket booth, Google Forbes, Scott Mendelson, the ticket booth. That's where I am.
All right. He's where the money is. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Brandon4KUHD. Written work at whysoblue.com. Guess what? I'm taking next week off.
Slacker.
I'm going to be working on a 1-year celebration type week for the show, which begins September 27th. And it's going to be plenty of fun. You'll still get Old Space Show next week. So you'll still hear from me and the mighty Jim Dietz as we go through Space 1999 Season 2. So the show has oddly gotten back to where it started, because when I started, it was Scott and Jim was on Old Space Show Season 1. And oddly enough, it wasn't planned this way, but it wound up being Old Space Show Space 1999 Season 2. So you'll get that next week. It's going to be plenty of fun. So I'll see you guys the 27th. It's going to be a week-long thing of things, stuff of stuff, entertainment. But until then, stay film positive.
Thank you for listening. The Brandon Peters Show is a Creative Zombie Studios production. Produced by Brad Shoemaker and Brandon Peters. Written and edited by Brandon Peters. Announcer vocals by Jessica Alsman. Theme song by Metavari. Web design and show art by Brad Shoemaker with Brandon Peters. All music and clips featured in the episode are property of their respective studios, and no infringement is intended. Additional information on this and other episodes at BrandonPetersShow.com. For any inquiries, press opportunities, or sponsorship, contact mail at BrandonPetersShow.com. The show is available on Apple Music, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts are found.